speaking. Welcome to this video. So in this video we are going to look at the upgrade learning curve. Now what is this? Well, this is actually something that I've sort of made up myself really, just from experience. But I want to have a chat with you about when you're first starting 40k and you're playing your units. What upgrades do you take? How do you decide what upgrades do you take for your vehicles, for your men? How do you do it? How do you work out? Well, I made a big mistake in the beginning of my gaming career as such, of taking all the upgrades I could get my hands on. I mean, every upgrade. Let's take my Eldar tanks for example. Star engines, vectored engines, the shuriken cannon underneath. I took everything that I could, spirit stones, any and everything. I made them expensive. Okay, they were hardcore, they were difficult to take out, lots of options, they were fast, they were good, and I liked them. But, to be fair, I was actually wasting a lot of points on those vehicles. Now, I find, personally, that it's much more difficult to downgrade your upgrades as such. So what I mean by that, let me try to explain. So yeah, I had these very expensive tanks, but I couldn't get out of the habit of taking everything. It was like, oh, well, I don't want to take I don't want to leave off vectored engines. I mean, what happens if I crash? I'll be immobilised. Oh no, I've got to have that. So I kept taking them and taking them. And then one day I played a very small game. I think it was 750 points. I think it was. And I just took the vehicles. I just dumbed them right down. I tried to take as many vehicles as I could. I think I had 5-6 vehicles. Obviously I'm talking about Eldar tanks here. And they actually performed very well. And it sort of dawned on me really that I didn't actually need all those upgrades. Okay, yes, some of the upgrades I do need. Let's say, 5th edition, obviously spirit stones, you had to have that. 6th edition, slightly different, because obviously most vehicles are just being glanced to death rather than on the penetrating chart. So I suppose what I'm trying to basically say is I'm trying to recommend to you that when you start with a unit, whether it be a vehicle or whether it be troops of some description, is start very basic. Just have like the sergeant with a power sword, for example, to start with, and run with those. See how you get on, and learn from the mistakes. They'll die, they'll die at first, but at least you'll see for the next game. You say, well, hang on, now, let's say my grey hunters, for example. Say I take a squad of 10 grey hunters. I just have the 3 flamers in there or something, and that's it. And then at the next game, say I get assaulted by them, and I realise that actually if I had a standard banner, standard bearer, I could re-roll my 1s in assault. That's actually quite good. You could learn from your mistakes, basically. Learn from not taking Wargear and improving from it. I find it's much easier to have something basic, die, learn what could benefit you, and add that in the next time you play them, than having everything on the unit maxed out, potentially wasting your points. It's much more difficult to see what benefits you're getting when you have it all than when you don't have it. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend. When you're first starting up, take fairly basic units, and as you play the game, gradually you'll determine whether you need it. Let's look at vehicles. Let's have a look at, say, Dozer Blade. Now this could actually be just your particular preference. Some people are awful at rolling dice on particular rolls. Take me for example. Whenever I'm generating scarab swarms, I used to always roll a 1, all the time. It's different now for some reason with the new codex where the tomb spiders have the 3 wounds. I'm not rolling 1s, but when they only had 2 wounds, I was always rolling a 1. And you may find that with your tanks, you may find that whenever you go on terrain, you get immobilised. You might play 2 or 3 games and you always get immobilised. You think, hey, it's time to take a Dozer Blade. But if you go 2 or 3 games and you never roll a 1, never get immobilised, you won't be taking the Dozer Blades. But of course, if you had the vehicle upgrades and you put them all on your vehicles, and you made them expensive, you wouldn't necessarily think, maybe a dozer blade is a waste of time. You know, that's the type of mindset that I want you to think about when you're sort of gearing up all your units, is really take them basic and just gradually work up towards the war gear that you need. Okay, that's it. Hopefully that's got you thinking, and more to come.